All right, it is 7 o'clock on Thursday, July 9th, and this is the regular city council meeting for the city of Alburnett. We will go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to roll call. Counselor Trum,
Present.
Counselor Bosenberg,
Present.
Counselor Sukup,
Present.
Counselor West,
Present.
Counselor Myers.
Present.
Record reflect, we do have a quorum to conduct business tonight. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I do want to reorder item number K ahead of item number I. So we're gonna move K up 2 slots. Y'all are good with that? I don't know if that needs to even be part of the approval, because I think I have every right to do them in whatever order I want to, but I just thought I'd let you all know, so. I would seek a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Trump. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Second by Myers. Any further, and we don't need discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Brings us to the sheriff's report, which is on page 2 of your packet. We do not currently have a deputy present. If they come in, we will recognize them. But what you'll see is for June 11th through July 9th, our 43 hours were met. There were 10 calls for service. So I won't say the word because my fire department yells at me, but that's a short report. So. There any questions or concerns you want to bring up here? If not, you can send them over to Vicky and we'll get them to, apparently Major Chris Smith is our new contact since Major Colston's retirement. All right. Hearing none, that brings us to citizen comments. We have 2 types of comments here in the city of Alburnett, those for agenda-related items and non-agenda-related items. We do ask that you please state your name and address clearly for the record and limit comments to 5 minutes. So we will start, if you are on the agenda, you will speak then. So we will start with any comments on agenda-related items. All right, hearing none. Comments for non-agenda related items.
My name's Dave Enos, my wife Donna. We live at 213 Howard Street here in Alburnett, up by the water tower. And I want to see about getting something done with the street there and to the west of our house would be my first thing. And then the second would be dust control at the city property. We can't open our windows. We can't leave the garages. I do leave them open, but it's just a dust mess. Everybody that comes to town mows their yard, picks up sticks, they come by the house. So the dust is a real problem. Now the street isn't put in there properly. The water comes off the city building, it comes off the side of Graham's building, runs down across the road and up my driveway 15-20 feet. And at the same time, it leaves bark, brown water in the low spots in my drive and on the side, runs down beside my garage and clear to the back of my property, leaving that mulch and all that sticks there all the time. And it's not just the dart rain like we just had, it's all rain. It has to jump the curb a couple inches before it even gets into my driveway, and it's still coming up there on a normal rain, 10-15 feet. And it leaves dirt, and every time I've got to go out and clean it up, wash it off with our expensive water, or we'll wait until it dries and blow it off with a blower every time. And I've lived there for 20 years, and it's getting really bad as far as that wood and that mulch coming in and having to rake it up every time. And the street needs fixed. It's the seal coat's almost all gone from plowing during the winter time. It's exposed rock. I have a hot rod, I have a bike, motorcycle. It's a hazard to me for as far as the bike goes, driving in and out of there on the gravel. And, the car is not a big deal really, but it's a 1932 Roadster and I like to keep it off the gravel as much as possible. And one other thing, that's the two things that I have for the city, for the road and the dust control. And a suggestion, the other thing I have is a suggestion that the city employees wear orange or green attire or vest at all times. All the cities that when you go anywhere, Rochi's, even just their construction company. I was a safety man at Burnett's and I'm a retired local 43 laborer. And we had to wear them no matter where we were at, just for safety. I watched them guys over there moving the mulch around and dodging each other all the time. Okay, I run a skid loader most of my life at Burnett's. And I can tell you I've hit a car. I've almost run over my partner. I mean, I backed into porches. It's accidents and they happen so quick that somebody could get really hurt. And them shirts help because you can catch that off the corner of your eye. You can see that. You can see them. And there's no reason that we don't. When I watch Center Point come over or whatever, everybody's wearing them and it tells you who they are. They have it on the back of their shirts. And that's really all I have to say.
I appreciate you. Couple of questions on the dust control. I know we did it last year. Did that help? I mean,
It does.
long enough. I was hoping to get some feedback from you on whether that was.
It does work as long as they keep that skid loader off of it. They go out and they move that mulch pile around. If they would stay over there, it would be fine. I'm not saying they don't know how to run a skid loader, but they get the mess really scattered out there. If they kept it where it belonged, the dust control would work good.
Okay.
But they get it over in the lane of traffic where the people come in and out. And then they use that skid loader, well, they scrape it right off. And you
Oh,
can't,
sure.
and so you can't have it there. They can't keep scraping it off, it's a waste of money at that point.
Sure.
But it does work, and it did work. We've done it a couple different times now up there. And as long as they keep that machine off of it, it does help a lot.
Perfect. And then for the street, I did want to let you know, so we are in the process of putting together a street maintenance report or a street maintenance plan for council to review and look at. One of them is that intersection right by your house. Mac has highlighted it a couple of times. It holds water, it freezes over, the manhole's right in the middle, like it's not great. And so I do obviously going north with that would be addressed at the same time. So I've not seen, obviously, especially during a heavy rain, I'm not standing in your driveway. No, we did. What I was gonna ask is, in the meantime, while we work through that, again, it's gonna be one of the higher priorities. Based on what you're visually seeing, because I'm not in your driveway during heavy rain, would like an erosion fence like what we've got out at the park site, would that help?
It's coming right up the driveway. I mean, it's coming right where you drive in. I mean, if it was raining and I had to drive in my drive and park my car, I would get out standing water.
I just wonder if that would redirect it. So I'll have Mac look at it. He's back next week.
The reason that, we put a curb and gutter on my side, but they didn't do it to the west on the other side. And that was there when they were redoing Muthart, and I don't know how many years ago that was. It's been quite a bit.
Mhm.
So that side of that street is a foot or better higher than my side. And when it comes around
It's all
Grant's
coming.
building from the city's building in the lot, it runs right over, my driveway's just in line with it.
Okay.
And the erosion in the road, and there is a rut about this deep that runs across that road right now that's up there. They drive right over it. And it's right in the very middle of my driveway. So we can't put a fence there.
But if we catch it further up on the site and redirect it, I wonder,
It's
so.
still gonna fall to the east. The water's still gonna come downhill from that.
Yeah.
And I'm on the downhill side of it. And that side of the street is the downhill side, I should just say. So, it needs, there used to be a crown in it. But it's gone. I mean, it's been plowed away. It doesn't work.
Okay.
And if you look at that corner that you're talking about, there's a pile of rock. There's two piles there in the low spots. And that's all the rock from that road, from that street in that corner. And that's another thing I wish the maintenance guys would pick that up, because if anybody turns that corner, or I mow my yard and I'm both. It's in the road. And we pay a street sweeper to come clean it up.
We do. They come in twice a year.
And later, there's another pile there.
Okay. I'll have Mac take a look. He's back next week. And then, yeah, we'll keep you posted on the street maintenance plan too. We'll see if there's something we can do in the interim. And then we did have dust control, I think about this time last year, so.
Well, I know they do it in the spring and the fall, depending, so mostly in the spring though, so I didn't know if we was out of that or not. But I wish it was done. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else for non-agenda related items?
I don't know how to go about this. Gail Siebel, 124 First Street. I talked to Vicky. Lynn County Planning and Zoning is called out and talked to Vicky. When we bought that house and moved in 79, it had double hung windows, which in those old houses went to about that far off the floor. Okay. Sometime well over 30 years ago, I took them out and put in shorter windows and crankouts. Well, now, after that many years, these windows are shot, and she would like to go back to double hungs like was originally in there. But the way the opening is right now, I have 8.12 square feet in that. And if you take out the minus possibly up to 80 inches for the crossbar, it drops it to 7.32, which they say needs 7.50 for firemen to get their SCBA's through the window. So I was wondering if there was any way I could get a variance on that 18.18 square feet. So I could put new windows in, no window count. When I put them in, I slid them up the ladder in front of me and put them in myself. Well, I'm a little past that. I don't mind climbing the ladder, and I ain't afraid of falling, but that sudden stop is gonna get me. So no window company will do it because of that 0.18 square feet without a variance.
So I will share what we've learned, because this came up with, variances generally are related to zoning. And so the windows are building code. So those are two different sections of the ordinance. And we have learned that a variance, you have to be able to prove hardship. So there are some there's some very strict guidelines around variance. So our building code, I mean, generally Lynn County is strictly in charge of our building code. There is a board of appeals,
Well,
which I don't think we ever appointed, so that would probably be council, because I think that's what the ordinance says for a backup. But I will tell you, Gail, that I think still don't think we can waive any regulations.
well, I know Luke Maloney called out and talked to Vicky one day. I don't know what their conversation was. She might be able to tell you that, but I thought, man, for 0.18 square feet, I hate to, I don't know. It's been so long. I don't know if I shimmed them in on the sides. I know I did on the bottom, but to open it up is going to be a major construction again. And it's 76 years old. I've only got a few more years there, and I can't see going through all that just to get some replacement windows in there.
Sure, no, I understand that. So yeah, under our building code, the Board of Appeals does say we have no authority of interpretation of the administration of these regulations, nor shall such board be empowered to waive requirements of these regulations.
So why did Luke Maloney from Planning and Zoning have me
I would-
come to you guys?
I would have to talk to him, so I haven't talked to Luke about this, so I can follow up. And then really the next step would be, let me talk to Luke, and then, would be to request a hearing in front of the Board of Appeals anyway, so we wouldn't decide anything in this forum.
Yeah.
So, I'll let you know. I don't know if Vicky's got contact information that you're comfortable with her sharing with me, and I can reach
Well, I would
out.
say everybody knows where I live.
That's true. I also, yeah, I see you around, so.
Once in a while.
Perfect. Let me reach out to Luke and see what I can learn there, and then we'll get, if we need.
Yeah, I realize you've got a planning and zoning or something coming up at the end of the month, I think, but I keep thinking, geez, it's gonna take 2 months to make the windows. I don't wanna put them in, have to put it in the winter time.
Sure.
I did that when I moved out here. There was no storm windows. I was putting plastic on screens upstairs in December, so.
So it's not anything that planning and zoning would hit. It'd be a Board of Appeals, which, we never appointed one, and so I get in the absence, that is council, so we'd call a special Board of Appeals meeting, at their availability, so I'll let you know what I learned from Luke.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for stopping in.
Yep.
Was there anything else? I mean, I'm an open book. So whatever.
Just back to what Dave was saying about the compost out there. I've talked to you. I blew my stack
Oh.
to Vicky. They cleaned it out. They put brush clear to the back, and you have these a-holes that drop their grass and stuff right in the driveway. Either they're too afraid to get in the tires muddy, or they think they're too damn good. And that's the city man's, that's the city man's job to do that. You know, I don't know, it just irks me to no end that they do that.
We appreciate you getting irked on our behalf.
But I can attest that it doesn't make Mac. very
Yeah, I know, I talked to him, he said he had to come in one Sunday one time and move stuff around, but, and like I say, if I bring my tractor and loader in from out at my acreage and stuff, and I happen to go up there, I'll shove stuff in, so he doesn't have to come in. But I just can't understand these people. I was up there last week dropping some grass clippings and rhubarb stuff off, and there's piles right in the.
He's done.
Them people ain't from Alburnett that don't know where to put it. There's a lot of them. I see it every week.
All right.
Okay,
We appreciate it.
Pepsi, coffee.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate you. Are there any other comments on non-agenda related items?
Thank you.
All right. That brings us to our business. So item A is set the comprehensive plan public hearing date for August 13th. And y'all know what that means. That means we're in the final stretch. So we are well ahead of schedule. I believe initial schedule may have been October. And I pessimistically was like, yeah, of next year. So it's been, sorry, Michelle, I had to say it. It's been a great experience. The draft is online. I believe it got sent to all of you. Please take a look at it. We had a pop-up event during the car show. We got some great feedback that is currently being incorporated. I get one more view at it next week. And then we are going to schedule with planning and zoning for Wednesday, July 27th. For them, because it has zoning implications, they will review it, and then we do have to have a public hearing. So that's all I'm asking for right now, is to set the public hearing date, but you got a mini update whether you liked it or not. So, and a plug for, please go read the updated comprehensive plan. If you lost your email, it's on the website. So we're looking at, we should be on target as long as we get the planning and zoning done first to have that public hearing at our next regular council meeting. So do I have a motion to approve the comprehensive plan public hearing for August 13th at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Moved by Sukup. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bosenberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. This one's gonna look a little familiar. That set the park shelter design public hearing date. That was intended to be this meeting. We didn't quite get as far as we would have liked, but we've got a meeting next week. Michelle's been working in the background, and then I'm gonna give her all of my feedback, which she very much appreciates. So, we are optimistic on this one, and then we'll have it ready for you next month. We will make it happen. So if we could reset that public hearing that was intended for this month, and we're going to go ahead and do that on August 13th as well for the park shelter design. Do I have a motion?
May I?
Yes.
So do we have to put it as 7 o'clock or do we put immediately following?
It's so when they know when to show up. That is it.
Okay.
I don't think we have to be that precise. Yeah, we don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just know from experience.
I will be.
We do not need to be precise, but great call. With that, do I have a motion?
Some.
Moved by Myers. Do I have a second?
Sorry.
Second by Trum. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That brings us to Representative Cindy Golding. Thank you for joining us this evening.
I'll stand up so I can see if anybody has questions or whatever. So thank you for putting me on the agenda. And this is kind of the update and time for questions. So I want to cover two things with you. The first one is data centers. I am encouraging every city to look at putting in a data center ordinance. They're going all over the state, and I've been on several Zoom calls with multi-state legislators from people from North Dakota, South Dakota, Indiana, Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, where they are going into small towns. They are purchasing large parcels of farm ground right outside of town, asking it to be annexed in, not with any particular purpose. But once it's annexed in and they put in a petition for a data center, then it's too late to put in your ordinance. So you need to have your ordinance on the books before that happens. And there's a lot of secretive stuff going on. I am the legislator who wrote the transparency bill, which didn't control data centers in any way, didn't restrict them, simply said, how much energy are you going to use? What's the source and how will it affect ratepayers? How much water are you going to use? What's the source and how will it affect, like I just heard, water bills are already high. How's it going to affect the water and the water treatment plant? And then what are you going to do with the excess energy, the heat that's generated? And nothing was a restriction. It was simply transparency for planning purposes. And Google and NextEra fought it, put a lot of money behind it, a lot of pressure behind it. So the bill passed originally unanimously in the committees and then got killed before it came to the floor. So I'm encouraging everybody to be prepared. I want you to know I'm not against data centers. I am against secrecy. When they are expecting tax credits, they already get sales tax exemptions. They get all kinds of tax credits and exemptions. And I'm not sure every community is aware that they have a sales tax exemption. So you don't even get the sales tax from the stuff that they're bringing in. So that's the first thing. And there's a lot of different models out there. Every city is different. There's a lot of different legislation that are ordinances that have already been crafted. I would encourage you to look for one that fits with Alburnett's specific environment. And again, not to stop, but to be prepared so that you're not caught off guard. And they have legions of lawyers. And I just have heard two communities, not in our state, where the data center did not do what they said they were going to do. They didn't do for the town what they had promised. And then they packed up and left when the water got scarce. The city well dried up. The city is now stuck with trying to get a water source. The residents they're getting tanker trucks bringing water in, and it's a real mess. So I don't want to see that happen here. That's number one.
Cindy, what does data or the ordinances cover?
An ordinance, well, it depends on the city. Depends on what they already have in place and what you would need to add. So every city is different. So one of the things that Fairfax is facing right now, those data centers are not in Fairfax, but all the road problems are in Fairfax.
Yeah.
And the roads are getting torn up in Fairfax and,
And traffic jams.
but that's, you can't control what goes on in some other city, but you can control what goes on here. So I'm encouraging every community to do that, to be proactive. The second thing is property taxes. The property tax bill passed. I brought to you, I shared what my idea was for property taxes and it was well received all across the state. It was well received by the League of Cities and taxpayers and everybody except the chair of the Ways and Means Committee in the Senate. He didn't like it at all. But what we got in the process was something that was not as bad as what they wanted. So you fight for, if you can't get what you want, you at least look for compromise. So some of the compromises we got, so I want to celebrate some of the things we did get. The 2% cap was not put on everything. So it was not put on employee benefits and it was not put on an insurance or debt servicing. They wanted to get rid of TIF. All that happened was they got a 20-year limit on TIF, but they wanted to completely get rid of TIF. We did get, one of the things I fought for you guys was that we would get, that you could set aside a designated fund instead of everything having to go back into the general fund and put that 35% cap on the reserve. You can put in a designated fund for a project like the park or, other things that doesn't have to roll back into the general fund and get counted in that 35% limit. So there's a lot of things. I've had questions at some of the other city councils that I have no idea how to answer. It was a 42-page bill. And it did a strikeout and add this. And until you sit down and walk through it with a budget, you don't know how it's going to impact your budget. How it impacts you will be very different than how it impacts Ely or Centerpoint or somebody else, depending on what you have going on in TIFs already or what projects you already have underway or those kinds of things. So what I'm asking for is give me some specific, I know we need to fix it. The bill was a bad bill. I had to vote yes because I forced some compromise. And once you get compromise, if you don't approve that, if you don't vote yes, then you lose any credibility to go in the next time and fight for compromise. But what I need from you guys is some specific examples of things that need to be fixed on this bill. And I heard some, like Mount Vernon gave me an example on a TIF issue that is very specific. I heard it from Central City last night about some things that are very specific for their environment. So what I talk about in caucus for my small communities, all we hear about is, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, Quad City, we hear those things. I'm pushing it for our small towns. I need to know. And the other thing that I fought for and got pulled out of the bill was some of the grants were only going to go to small communities, but they were in counties with a certain population, which would leave us out of everything. So while there's still some of those grants that are limited to counties by population, we opened it up for others to cities by population, and that doesn't matter that we're in the same county with Cedar Rapids. I keep telling it doesn't matter. When that money comes here, it goes to Cedar Rapids. It doesn't come to my small communities. And so they have to quit thinking about county size and think about the jurisdiction size. So working on that. So do you guys have any questions?
On the TIF,
Yeah.
is it, you get 20 years total of TIF, or is it 20 years per instance, I guess?
I think it's per agreement.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they used to allow unlimited, so you basically have an open-ended TIF and that's what
Okay.
they shut down. So it's a 20-year term for
Okay.
each one.
And some communities do TIF by project and some do TIF by district. And I don't know what the regulations are on that. Those are the nuances that are handled. I don't know that. You know, you have to really dig deep into the finances, and a lot of the cities don't even understand it. So,
Well, I'll share with you, specific to property taxes. I mean, our biggest expenses are related to employees. So wages, benefits, those types of things, just because they're what keep us moving, especially here in a small town. And then our fire department. Stuff's just expensive and we have, not saying we have to have one, but like we have to have one. You don't want to not have fire service and we have to have one. And we have found it extremely difficult, especially on the fire side. I know this is our fire chief, that's why I keep pointing that direction. They work really hard to find that money where they can, but it's all private foundations. And so that everybody's having to go there. So it'd be incredible to have some kind of state program that would help support, whether it's buying power around vehicles or gear or what that looks like. And then same with, I know we talked about this when we had our meeting in Center Point, health insurance. Because not only do those premiums just keep going sky high, we have to compromise coverage because, you know, we can only, I know that the insurance levy is exempt from the 2%, but
it still comes out of the pocket.
it's still a lot. I mean, it's still an increase on our property taxes that people don't want to, you know, don't like to see. And so, you know, state programs are available for things like shared services on technology and other things like that. And so just for us smaller communities where we have 2 people on a plan, like it's hard to be competitive and negotiate anything. So those would be my two, in my opinion, our 2 biggest expenses. Obviously, if Vicky would like to speak on, you're much closer to our budget, but.
I'm gonna address the one for the employee benefits part. I went to the governor's office and said, why can't these employees who qualify for IPERS qualify for the state and, you know, the state policy? Oh, no, we can't do that. Why can't we do that? Well, it'd be too expensive. And I'm looking at them like, I'm an employer. I know what insurance costs are. I know when we had 38 employees and when we dropped down to under 10, your rate's almost double when you are a much smaller group. And you can't even get short-term disability when you've got a group under 10. And so I asked them to number one, for state employees to go to short-term disability instead of this 4 weeks. So that we put in a 4-week maternity leave. If you have short-term disability, it's 6 weeks, which is, you know, paid for by the disability, well, then somebody who breaks a leg would be covered. So what?
Yeah, they would.
Sounds good.
Well, we just want to do maternity coverage. I was flabbergasted, and I got so it takes business owners who are you know, who experience this to go after them and shake them, you know, like wake up, because most of the people I'm talking to are government employees who've never dealt with any of this stuff. So they they just know what some lobbyist tells them. On the insurance part, they said, well, League of Cities could put together a policy. Why? When if League of Cities does it, they'll take a cut off the top. Why not let these people join an already existing state program? I'm going to continue fighting that battle because there are going to be some people that aren't there anymore. And I will be pleased to see whoever the new group is.
A particular person.
No, Kim didn't. Governor Reynolds is not the one. I went to her and she directed me to staff who deal with insurance and deal with this and deal with that. And those people aren't going to be there. So that was, I will continue to fight for that. We did get expanded coverage with the insurance companies to cover some of the cancers and some of the issues that emergency management deals with, because they were denying some of that coverage. We said, no, here's a whole list of cancers that are significant in this industry, in the personnel here, and you can't deny the coverage. So we got that through. And we also expanded benefits that the city can for volunteer fire. You can set aside a program that's kind of like a retirement program after so many years. The city does it, and it's not a wage, it's a honorarium or something. I forget what they call it. So it's not taxable at that time, but after so many years, the volunteers can tap into that. I'm not sure how that works, what the mechanism is, but that's one thing that we fought for. And we come and support the breakfast every year. Vicki, you were gonna,
My biggest thing was the iPay bill, which
we killed that.
I was very pleased about that.
So you guys all came down. Vicki, you were in twice. So we went down and said, wow, you want to force our little towns to do this? Why don't we do it with state money first? You got a lot more money. And Robbie Smith said, oh, but we get all this, we get how much in interest and all that. And I said, well, then why are you trying to force my little towns to go someplace else other than where they get the best return on their money? Well, because it should be invested locally. Well, I would think the same for the state reserves. It should be invested in the state. So we killed that. So
We appreciate that.
yeah, I couldn't believe so I talked to some of the bankers, and they said, well, if you force it now, we need more money in our deposit balance. But 6 years ago, we didn't. And there's no way we could have matched the interest rate that you were getting in IPIC. So, or the return on your investment, even though there's a fee. Because that was the big thing. Oh, they're paying a fee to this, and that should be reinvested in the community. Well, it is paid by revenues that are coming back into the community.
Yeah, it's noticeable.
Anything else?
So you're talking about cancer and cancer prevention. I'd like to see a comprehensive radon detection and mitigation grant program in the state of Iowa. It's we're number one.
I know we are, and that's something that has been, I was a research chemist. And back when they were trying to get rid of cigarette smoking, we knew that the cigarette smoking was not the biggest problem. It was radon and plasticizers, the volatile plasticizers. So I'm talking about back in the 70s, before the big anti-smoking thing, but there's no pocket of money for radon. Smoking had a pocket of money from the tobacco companies. That's why they pushed it. We did pass a bill that says all new construction must have radon mitigation. We had.
Which Lynn County already had, so.
Well,
Yeah.
but so all new construction all across the state has to have radon mitigation. And not in apartment buildings, but in single family or duplex structures. And of course, that was fought by the building industry. That's gonna make, costs go up, too bad. So that was in place. The grant money that we pushed for 4 years now got cut out of appropriations. So we'll still go after it. The other thing we need is cancer investigation that does not have a presupposed cigarette tax applied to it. So they did a big study, came back with a study that we should increase the cigarette tax so that we'll reduce cancer. And my question was, in the places where they increased cigarette tax, did it reduce cancer? Well, it reduced cigarette consumption by some percentage. That wasn't my question. My question was, did it reduce cancer? Well, we don't know, but we think it will. So they went into the
Smoking,
study.
it probably did, but that's an addictive behavior. And if somebody's addicted, they will find another way of getting that
That's what the
fixed.
smokers said. They, raise it $1 a pack will still So, but my point was, they didn't look at the cancer rates. They were looking at a tax revenue. So they went in with the intention of finding a revenue source as opposed to finding a cancer cause. Because we know they didn't study, so I asked some very specific questions, again, from my research background, like, all right, did you study this? Did you study? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. They took some large data that had very little information and drew some conclusions, and the conclusion was we should raise cigarette tax. That's not gonna fix radon. That's not gonna fix water contamination. That's not gonna fix all the other things that can cause cancer. So we're working on it.
On the school voucher system, what do you see the future there and how much has that affected? I know it's been huge budgets. What are they projecting in the future? How's that gonna affect our state budget?
It didn't affect the state budget, number one, because that was it's a separate line item when we do it. So education still takes 54% of our state budget. Now that's all education, take ESAs out of it. So right now, long before ESAs, we were funding private colleges with the Iowa Tuition Grant Program. We were funding, and then there's Pell Grant. We were funding a lot of private institutions. The problem we have in education, and I just looked at my numbers from 25 to 26, we have 4,000 less students in the state in 26 than we had in 25. I looked specifically at some school numbers. ESAs are not hurting Alburnett at all. Alburnett has about a 40% open enrollment in. So the problem is not ESAs, because those students are choosing to enroll in another public school. It's in the areas where the public schools are not meeting the needs of the families that families are choosing to go to a private school. But the one I heard from, and I'll give you this number, Centerpoint called me about ESAs. They have 4 students, 4 on ESA, but they have 1,200 fewer students than they had 5 years ago.
Are here. Quite frankly, some of them go to Alburnett.
No, I'm talking about in the district. Because so we do district numbers. Living in
Yeah.
the student count, the K through 12 count is 1,200 less than it was 5 years ago. That's significant when you're only talking 4,000 students, and we got down to whatever. So the number of students in the area is significantly less. They only have 4 on ESAs. They have 200 that open and enrolled out, but they have more that open and enrolled in from other schools. So they have, Centerpoint it's pretty even with the open enrolling out and open enrolling in, but the overall is because there's fewer students. So my question to schools is, how are you planning for reduced enrollments? Because we have fewer children that we are addressing.
What can Iowa do to stop brain drain?
Well, I'm gonna celebrate the ones that are coming back. My son moved back. He was gone for 12 years in Seattle, moved back here to raise his family. There are other people that are moving back to Iowa. So I have 6 kids. I wanted them to go out and explore the world and come back and want to live here. 3 of them did, moved away and came back. 3 didn't. They moved to where their spouse was, what was home to where their spouse is, which happens. We have put in some programs where medical students can have part of their student loans forgiven if they stay here, if they do their internship here, their residency here, and then stay here. We're doing that with veterinarians. We've done that with some other key industries where we have a shortage, that we encourage students who go to school here to stay here and get some of their tuition excused, their expenses excused. We have expanded in the schools, the trades programs. That we have partnerships with businesses where we pay them to have students trained. And Alburnett participates, I believe, in some of that. I know that Lisbon does, Springville does, Centerpoint does. So we're encouraging those things. So the kids, they go out and they do internships with a company. I have two kids that work part-time on the farm in the summer. They're just a couple of football players that now are doing their internships and they're already offered jobs when they graduate from high school. In industry, in their chosen field, and with businesses who will pay after they've done, worked there for a little while, they will pay for their education. If they want to go into mechanical engineering or industrial engineering or electrical engineering or whatever, as long as it matches the industry, they will pay for their education. So we're encouraging those things. The problem is we have a static population. We're an ag state. Agriculture doesn't bring in a lot of people. It takes up a lot of land, but doesn't bring in a lot of people. And our population has been rather stagnant since I moved here in 85. And I think statewide, we have about 100,000 more people than we did in 85. Maybe 200,000.
Where'd you move from?
Illinois.
It's
Glad to leave it behind.
Yeah.
I grew up in an area that was rural, farm across the street. It was beautiful.
Where was that?
Northern Illinois, McHenry County. It's now all under concrete.
Yeah, Henry's not farms now.
Yeah, no, it's not farms now. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
More so forethought into the next legislative session next year, but a bill that died at the governor's desk this year that affects small towns would be the SUDAS bill.
Oh, yes.
I encourage you to be talking to your small communities on how much that impacts them.
I did.
I would continue to talk to them because it really impacts them.
I need some specifics.
I'd be happy to meet with you on it. It's my livelihood.
Any street project is specific enough. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things in it that would cost the city a lot of money to have good infrastructure.
Are you in favor of the bill or opposed?
Absolutely not.
Oppose.
I wanted to ask because I helped kill the bill. I was gonna tell you that whether you were for it or against it, but I helped kill the
I
bill.
don't think you'll find a city engineer across the state of Iowa that is.
I have, of my 6 kids, I have 4 engineers. And all of them told me how stupid the bill was, because right now it's guidelines. Here are some suggestions on things you can do, but if you mandate it, it's gonna make costs go through the roof, and it doesn't always apply.
Well, and then more importantly, the piece in it that caused any cost differences, say a city wants to require 12 inches of rock instead of 6 inches of rock. And put that 6 inches of rock because it's above and beyond the SUDAS specifications back on the city. Well, maybe the city has special conditions that warrant that. And that's part of it where you start to get into like the city of Cedar Rapids and places that have corrosive soils and different things that it starts to cost cities a lot of money.
Stormwater bill. Are you familiar with what happened with that?
Somewhat.
All right, I have senators that won't talk to me because I'm the one that put the amendments on that, because having bought a house in Cedar Rapids where the backyard was washing down, and then seeing what happened on Edgewood Road where DR Horton is putting in the wash there. I fought that stormwater bill until we got amendments, so at least cities could make some requirements, even if it was cost sharing. The original bill said you can't.
Yep.
And I have 2 senators who won't even talk to me because it was their pet bill, because they're both developers. Anyway, so I speak up for you guys.
Well, and maybe it's just a conversation of who we should be going and talking to in addition to you.
Senator Webster.
Okay. Because these guys don't have as much of a voice as like, I know Cedar Rapids had lobbyists down there fighting that bill. But it's gonna affect them just as much.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So. When it's not right, I don't care who upsets. Any other questions?
I have one question with the fire department side.
Yes.
Countywide fires departments. What is your thought on that? I know they recently
Well, I
just
don't
put it
want
out.
to mandate, I want to encourage it because we have very different needs here than what they have in Western Iowa.
Right.
And to the way that would get structured, we started talking about it and I just started saying, whoa, hold on. You know, that is not necessarily the best thing to do. I think we need to allow counties the ability to do that and make regional fire. But I don't think we should mandate it because it might force some very unfortunate decisions to be made.
So that's what I was kind of looking at, so. I could see it being good, but at the same time, we could see it pushing out resources that are needed elsewhere.
Yeah.
But just because it looks good on paper, it might not be what.
Well, that's what I have learned. A lot of stuff that looks good on paper, when you start trying, when the rubber hits the road and you go, whoa, wait a minute. This isn't, and you will find that with this property tax bill. So, two things that were the biggest complaints that people call about their property taxes. Number one was the assessments, which we did not address. We just put if it goes over 10%, they have to justify it. The second thing was the rollback, trying to give you guys some certainty. We didn't adjust that. We didn't adjust assessments because some of the young guys like to see their assessment go up because they think that gives them a lot of equity in their house. Like, not unless you go get a loan and then you're gonna be paying for it, you know? So education is a big part. And part of when people call me and complain about their property taxes, I say, look at the back of your bill. Is it your city or is it your school? If it's your school, have you talked to the school board? No?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to see you.
I am running again.
All right, item D, GIS contract renewal with HR Green. So this starts on page 16 of your packet. This is just a regular renewal. They are our hosting service for our GIS. Great job with uptime. So we did, coincidentally, I came in for Mac to show me something the other day and it was down for the 20 minutes that I was here. And as soon as I got home, he called, he goes, guess what? It's back up. So it's fun. But for the most part, we have no support's great. Uptime's great, so no concerns with this. You'll find pricing on page 17. So the system, the regular system updates and maintenance is $3,096. Supplemental services and support is not to exceed $2,000. We've never exceeded it because they haven't come back. Any questions? Not, I would seek a motion to approve the renewal of the GIS contract with HR Green in the amount not to exceed $5,096.
So
Moved by Myers. Do I have a second? Is it Joe?
Yeah.
Tron with the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. Item E, resolution 07-2026-01, annually designating the official location for posting public meeting notices. What you'll see starting on page 19, this is a new House file that was passed. So we have always had to post publicly in 3 places. What this is asking us to do is designate a primary prominent location. And then it does now also require that we post on the city website. Before that was a courtesy, we've always done it, but it was considered courtesy and now it would be required. So we already have the mechanisms in place there. So this resolution is just setting those things. Vicky, am I misstating or misrepresenting anything there?
And it is only for designating public meeting space. Or the time, place for public meetings, so council meetings, special meetings, budget hearings. Any open public meeting, it's just for that.
Any questions? All right, with that, I'll read resolution 07-2026-01, annually designating the official location for posting public meeting notices. Whereas Iowa Code Section 21.4, as amended effective July 1, 2026, requires governmental bodies to annually designate an official, prominent, conspicuous location where notices of public meetings will be posted and visible to the public. Whereas the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa desires to comply with the requirements of Iowa law while providing residents with a consistent and easily accessible location for viewing public meeting notices. Whereas the City of Alburnett maintains an official website on which meeting notices and agendas will also be posted in accordance with Iowa law. Now therefore it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa, that the front window of Alburnett City Hall located at 120 North Main Avenue, Alburnett, Iowa, is hereby designated as the city's official, prominent, and conspicuous location for the posting of notices of meetings of the City Council and all other governmental bodies of the city, with such notices to be posted at least 24 hours in advance of any meeting. Be it further resolved, the city clerk is authorized to post meeting notices and agendas on the city's official website in accordance with Iowa Code Chapter 21. Be it further resolved, nothing in this resolution shall prohibit the city from posting duplicate courtesy notices at additional locations or by other means intended to further inform the public. Any questions? Seek a motion to approve resolution 07-2026-01.
So moved.
Moved by Bosenberg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, that brings us to item F, Longworth drainage discussion, page 22. I almost flipped those two things. This has been on our agenda for a very long time now, so happy to bring it back. Last direction from council was to consult with the city attorney on the particular right-of-way in question, as well as the circumstances surrounding this particular situation. So what we did get back, the attorney has provided guidance that it is private in nature. We went back through all of the documentation with the subdivision. When it was dedicated, we were able to find dedication of easements for sanitary sewer. And that is also, that did kind of put the pin in addition to the other documentation he was able to find with the recorder, that is a utility easement. No part of that was intended as city infrastructure for drainage. He also reiterated that my interpretation of the chapters, and this is in the memo that you'll have, chapters 100 and 170 around stormwater drainage was too generous. So it is intended for actual stormwater utility, not necessarily just open air drainage and those types of things. So I went a little broad. He brought it back in. So with that said, what you do have, and I'm happy to share this because again, we've been talking about it. So you're going to see we've got a couple of options. One is to do nothing. So that is, again, this is the area in question is considered private, so there's no legal obligation to intervene. Option number 2, which is what I would ask council to consider, it will take a little bit of time, unfortunately, is to establish a stormwater cost share program. So there is a very fine example from our neighbors, the city of Monticello, where they have established that homeowners can apply for, through an application process, apply for a cost share for stormwater projects, even those private in nature. What that allows the city, we don't generally have a lot of projects that spend our stormwater money. I know we do have a bridge replacement coming up and we've been reserving for that, but for the most part, stormwater infrastructure is pretty well, it doesn't require a lot of maintenance. And so this would be an avenue to allow residents to be able to utilize those funds. What it also allows, because it's by application, is if we do have a bigger project, say we have a culvert replacement or something, that we would have control over which applications we would consider and then the why. So I'm going to pause.
I do really like option 2. I think that a cost share program not only be ideal for this situation, but on down the line, we wanted to address sidewalks. That was something that when I lived in Cedar Rapids, you know, that when there were sidewalks in need of repair, it was just their way of saying, okay, well, here's what we will do for you.
Sure. This would be specific to stormwater.
Yeah,
It would be a model for
But that's
what
what
else we
I'm
could.
saying, having this type of precedent on the books, can give us a roadmap for when that. So,
If you had this cost share program, and I'm specifically thinking of that mess out there. Would you be? It would seem to me you'd need everybody's buy-in to get into this to be really effective on anything.
Most likely, I do know there's one homeowner that tried to put in a solution for his property. I don't know if, I'm gonna recognize, we do have a resident here who is impacted by this. So I'm gonna go ahead and recognize Chad. Feel free to speak. You've been very patient, allowing us to research and do all of the things. And so I don't know if that was effective. I don't know if you know he's near you, but so there could be individual solutions. We were hoping to do some that we could help
But on the
holistically.
other side of that, we'd have to look at their proposed solution and either approve it or approve the application or disapprove it if we didn't think it's gonna work correctly.
It's more based on funding availability than it would be whether we think it's gonna work or not, would be my understanding. Let me pull,
What if it was a waste of time?
he sent me,
I'm just gonna,
while I'm doing that, yeah, go ahead. He sent me Monticello's language.
so in this instance, we've got all of this drainage here, and we don't have any type of easement right away. What happens if we mitigate on one property and it makes it much worse on next property?
So that we are not mitigating, the homeowner is.
But I mean, is that setting that homeowner up that mitigated?
If I can address the council, here's my question.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I've lived in my location since 2006. And for 10 years, we've had no problems. A neighbor down south cut into a tile, bent a tile because they were tired of water in their backyard. It caused a backup that came all the way up. Neighbors upstream of me continue to put their downspouts and their sump pumps into a 4-inch drain tile. When I purchased my property, did not know was on my property. Now I can't mow my yard. For 7 years, I can't mow my yard. It's not my water. My water all goes into the storm sewer the way it was supposed to the west. All I'm asking is to figure out a way that I can mow my yard,
oh yeah,
period. I believe, and I don't know, it's illegal to shed your water to somebody else's property.
Yes.
and that's what I'm saying.
Everybody else's water that is upstream is coming to my property.
That's what I'm saying, is that if somebody fixes mitigates their yard, and then it makes it worse on someone else's property, does the person with the, degraded property have recourse against the first person?
All I can tell you is that we had an established deal for all but one homeowner in our entire subdevelopment
Yes.
to pay for this out of our own pockets. Because one person said no, the city backed out.
Yeah, and that's
And
what
then-
I'm afraid of.
And then we had future conversations that I'm not sure how a developer received a TIF from the city and turned it back over to the city with no stormwater drainage plan in place, period. I don't want to go back and relitigate this. I just want to mow my yard. Period. Can't tell you how frustrating it is when I spend thousands of dollars to try and maintain my home and I can't mow my yard. It's not my water. None of it is. And I can be the neighbor who did it to me 6 years ago. I read the comprehensive plan. I want to be a small town community. I want to not affect my neighbors. I don't want to flood their basement.
If I have to go down and dig up and find a tile on my property, which is my right, I understand that, and bentonite it because someone else did it to me, that's not the approach I want to take.
Yeah.
You said two things. One, I will own, I forgot to dig in further with the attorney because he did mention forcing them to put water back into the storm system. And so I will follow up on that. Second is, I am nearly certain, and I know we have the versions back there, there was an ordinance about not putting water onto your neighbor's property. I think it got lost when we did the last recodification, so I'm gonna go back through, because I know I read it. But I have searched for it in the current ordinance, and I'm not so certain that it's there.
The easiest solution in the world for me is to find where this tile comes in and bentonite it and push it back upstream. That's not what I want to do. But I just want to mow my yard. I feel like the town hillbilly because I can't mow my yard. I mowed it twice in 7 years. Twice. Not quite. Thank God the guy that has a riding lawnmower behind me, is also on the council, has mowed it a couple, 3 or 4, 17 times. It's frustrating. I have a tree that's going down. Thankfully, I don't have a deck that's lost support like 2 of my neighbors have. They have sinkholes by their foundations. I just would like to have some sort of way that we have some involvement that says this is not right. Period.
Do you know if your neighbor's mitigation system helped? This is just a curiosity question on my
You put
part.
in an underground 6,000 gallon tank, it collapsed. It was static pressure from the bottom.
I did not have that
And he
update.
is pumping all of that out to the west, and that pump runs, I think he told me 15 times an hour. So the answer is no. And he's going to have to dig up the plastic tank he put in and put in a metal tank because it went from 6,000 capacity to like 2,500 capacity because of static pressure from the bottom.
Okay, thank you.
This is ignorance. Have you cameraed the line to understand where it's blocked at?
We know exactly which block that.
Yeah. So the city did lean in there. So we have that footage. It's from the one, we can't even get 24 inches up. The problem is it's private. So there's only so much involvement because that tile was not represented on the subdivision map. So it was not dedicated to the city. Is the opinion that we have received. I'll follow up.
Appreciate you bringing it up.
Mhm.
Conversations that we've had, there is no way that this should end up be on an independent homeowner. Because what it's going to do is cause me to cause harm to them. And that's the last thing I want to have to do as a neighbor / homeowner.
Well, that's why I want to follow up. If they are tied into the tile.
1,000% they are.
Okay.
With 4,000 square foot houses into a 4-inch tile with all their downspouts and their sump pumps that run
Because
continuously.
Yeah. Let me circle back with the attorney on that. It's not, so that guidance does not, or that does not change the guidance here, other than we would follow up with any homeowners and be like, you can't use a private tile to dispose of it has to go into the stormwater system, and we can make them reroute that way. So I will follow up with the attorney on that. It does not change the guidance that we did receive around the particular area.
And last comment I would make, I believe if that were to happen, my yard would dry up. And the only time I would have issues is if we had a 4-inch rain, which would then subside into the back of it. But my yard has sunk at least 6 inches. A landscaping tree ring we put in 2 years ago sits like this. And there is literally standing water in my yard, and it's been 95 degrees for weeks. My grass is probably this tall, TJ.
Yeah, about.
And if you went in there, you would lose your shoe. I would sink down to my knees. I've tried to get Shellsburg cable involved because there's a pedestal sitting out there. They said it's designed to sit in water. I said, that much water? Tried to ask Alliant, designed for that. I don't know what else to do. I'm at wit's end. I don't want to be a bad neighbor, but I'm coming to the point where I'm going to be a really bad neighbor. because I can't get the help that I think we should be able to get.
I appreciate, again, your patience, very much.
So my last comment, thank you to the council considering it. I appreciate it.
You bet. All right, so I retain those two follow-ups. I'll get further opinion on, because this is deemed private in nature, if homeowners are using it, if they have to abandon using it. So I will get further guidance on that, and I will look into the ordinance. I know it was there because I had to reference it once, and then I cannot currently find it. So I think it may have gotten squeezed out when we last recodified. So I will look for that. What's that?
I think they're also state code
Under like building or?
under you redirecting stormwater.
Oh, okay, maybe that's why we dropped it, because it was we got a lot of that guidance with last recod, was like, that's not something you need to state because it's
I
okay.
know there's state code that deals with dumping your water on somebody else, and I'm not sure where it is. But that
I'll
was-
find it, I'm
that
a
was part of the
detective.
Stormwater bill that we do.
I think it's also, I mean, like if you go through and you dig and you've cut a drainage tile, it is your responsibility to repair the drainage tile. There is code.
Yeah, I
If
know,
you can't find it, Bethany, I can find it.
I know there's that because the farms we own, that if it goes across somebody's land, they can't just cut out the drainage tile and block it.
For a raise.
No, I just.
She's incredible, that's all I'm saying.
This is why she's a 24-hour available.
I tried to pay her in beef sticks at the car show and she declined, so.
It's because otherwise people would intercept stormwater that was supposed to be all the time. So there is codes in place.
So I should have asked you too. Well, thank you
Well,
for,
and that's stormwater revision, because I think that was addressed in that bill I referenced.
I'll do some digging.
beautiful. I don't think that negates what I'm asking council for tonight, which is if we wanted to pursue, having that cost sharing. So we would pull something together for us, but from Monticello, which we would use as a model. Construction and or maintenance of municipal water systems or matching funds for stormwater management projects within the community. So there'll be an application available. They're considered by council. Matching funds shall not exceed 50%. The city's discretion may require the applicant for matching enter into a contract. That's all it says. It's pretty,
So is it doing it by assessment or is it voluntary?
what's that?
The matching funds, like a lot of times with your sidewalk, when you guys mentioned the sidewalk, that's done by property assessment. So that would come on your property taxes. That's not how it's doing.
It says it may require them to enter into a contract for the matching funds.
Right there when you're done, basically.
That's a lot cleaner.
So again, if you'll see in your packet, next steps would be if you determine we want to move forward with a cost sharing program or explore it, we would look through proposed ordinances to amend that.
I would move forward on option 2. Because option 1 isn't an option. We need to make sure that we're doing absolutely everything we can to get this resolved and know what our options, what options are available. But option 1 is a non-starter.
I would agree. And it's honestly, especially with after some of these very interesting rains that we've had recently, it's not just that particular area. I've seen water pouring in between two houses from the farm fields. Like there may be other stormwater situations that may need to be addressed. So. Any
Not to
other?
mention what pours in at the lift station.
That's aside from this, that's gonna be fun little investigation that we do. Any other questions, comments? So Michelle and I are gonna do some follow-up on the state code to maybe help your poor.
Actually,
Our poor resident, he has been so patient and I have not apparently been as effective as I needed to be in this particular situation. So I will send him an apology of some kind. Because yes,
that's sometimes what you think.
I am so glad we hired an expert to help us out in these
Well,
things.
actually, stormwater is not.
We hired Bolton Mink. That's who we hired. You're in our corner, so.
I know who it is.
So, some follow-ups on, still on the particular situation, which has been well documented, because this was brought to council years ago when we still recorded, those meetings, and so we do have back from the beginning, all of the history on that particular incident, but in this case, the city attorney is from what action for council to take directly as far as resolving that, there is none. So, well, other than the cost sharing recommendation, so.
I don't know about that. So,
You mentioned this, you thought we do have a cost share program with this. Other areas that people might apply. Could you give a little more explanation on where you have seen something like that?
The one I saw for sure was on Howard Street. So it was coming between two houses off of that, just that little bit of cornfield, and it basically turned Howard Street into a river. But that was during one of those excessive rain events. I understand the Longworth drainage issue is just all the time.
Yeah.
It never dries up,
Okay.
so. That would be more excessive, which I'm sure is why we've not heard from those particular residents, but.
Okay.
As we continue to develop, I mean, we do have a great engineer behind us now, but that has always been one of my concerns is we put in more houses and more concrete, where does that water go? And so, I think if another subdivision goes in on the west side of town, I believe I heard this was many moons ago that a retention pond had to go in. So like there's already talk of having to
Right.
solve for stormwater.
What gets me is when, I live on Donald, between Donald and Lori. We had to put a tile in to get rid of the water. We still get water back there. I mean, last year it was terrible. I was mowing water, grass and water leaving tracks. And even where I live now, you can confess to that. We've got water running over into another person's property, and when we build, what gets me is they put storm sewers on one side of the road. But there's nowhere for me to hook onto it to run into the storm sewer unless I go through Lori Drive.
So the new developments all have,
They got
Storm sewer.
They should have
From-
sub-drain.
yes,
Sewer pipe, but they should have sub-drain.
the new developments do. That was not always a
Mhm.
practice.
Cause it's a mess, I have no idea where mine goes. It goes in a tile and I never see it come out anywhere.
Maybe it goes to his property.
That's right.
It might.
and I know in my side yard, it turns into a lake on. Not even like the heaviest rains, if we get maybe an inch or so in a day or two. But, and then there's a spot that's like just south of the last tree on my property. And it is like, lush, it's a marsh right there, so, cause I have that drainage
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
in my yard, it all goes through there, but. It's always, you can't grow anything in there, it'd be a swampland.
So pleasure of the council. I would take a motion just because it is gonna take some city resources, just from a time perspective, to pull this ordinance together, if that is the direction we would like to go.
For the cost share option, is it just to mitigate the water, or would it be, you need to use this tile
They would come with their own solution. They would come with their desired project, what they're looking to do, and council would consider it from there. So we can reach out to Monticello and others. I'm sure they're not the only ones. That's just the one our attorney gave an example, and see how if they have like a rubric that they score against for what qualifies and what doesn't. We'll get a lot more detail. And the ordinance will come back in front of you all for approval, obviously, so. I don't want to put the resources towards it if it's not something council's interested in.
In cost share cause it's just one pipe, obviously now, if, like Chris mentioned, that some homeowners decide not to do it, like mitigate it whatsoever, we're doing this individually, working with homeowners one at a time. So now you're talking potential individualized systems
Mhm.
on everybody's property based on if they want to do it or not.
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure.
It'd be
That's kind of the route I was
Yeah.
thinking, yeah. I did.
Just making sure.
individual solutions, yes. Now, we are pursuing if there's
Right.
other remediation given this particular situation.
It'll just, we may want to put something in that, obviously, I mean, what the limits are we gonna require some kind of stamped drawing for what they're going to put in for the cost share? And what kind of system they're gonna do. Is it gonna be pumped? Is it gonna be gravity flow? Doing inlets as a direct bore? Again, this is stuff I
Well,
don't deal with.
And
all
I
the
think
time.
about, we've got some out on Burnett Station or whatever, that have actual culverts. Maybe they need a
Exactly,
culvert
right.
replacement. So, I mean,
Right.
this could be more than.
So
actually
just something
drawings those, I
as
don't know.
we build that ordinance, something of, again, maybe we need to see some kind of a drawing. It's not gonna be Jerry coming to dig with a shovel and put another 4-inch perforated pipe in.
Just dig a big hole.
And we're paying for part of that, as a cost share. So we want to make sure as a city, I think that we know what's going in and we know what we're helping pay for.
And there's a chance he only sent me a snapshot. 'Cause,
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, you-
I'm just saying,
So,
just
yep.
thinking like, it might be nice to require some kind of drawing.
So Grant will be your co-author on this particular ordinance, is what I just heard.
More than happy.
Definitely my son, Jerry, he's kind of shoving.
He does kind of have a background.
I am a project manager at an engineering firm, correct? Yeah.
There you go.
So I deal with stormwater is
I have a stacked bench, is all I can say.
80% of my life.
Sound like one of my kids. Is there?
I love it.
Do we want to investigate this a little more as far as what other cities are doing? Before we pass this, or
All I'm asking is for,
We're
Did I-
moving
now,
forward,
before I-
looking into.
or if we started addressing this and then had more information, we'd have several times to vote it down then.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just asking for interest to even pursue such
Right.
a program.
You don't want to open another can of worms somewhere else.
Agreed.
Exactly.
You know, yeah.
And if we find Monticello's the only one, then that's a red flag for me. If there's one city that does something like this, then, cause most of the time we all pick up on each other and what we have going on, and love to call out on data centers. We'll start looking into that too, but, so. This is just interest to investigate.
I can go with that. Yeah.
I don't even think I need a motion. It's
You
fine.
don't know what you don't know.
Continue.
All right, we will continue to research options for cost sharing. Thank you all for that. And then we've got some follow-ups on the specific Longworth drainage situation, which may just be some follow-up from the city. I don't believe there will be any action from council needed, but
Already cinched it, plus if they have any communities that have music ordinance besides Monticello.
that's where that came from. So,
That's what I was wondering, is because they serve a few communities that I think do it, so.
yeah. So he said I can ask for additional. He's also pretty handy at looking. ChatGPT is pretty smart about those types of things. So, yeah, that was with Lynch Dallas, not our previous attorney. All right, are we good on that one? Ready to move to item G? Okay. Item G, resolution 07-2026-02, purchase and installation of flagpole and related. I have no idea how to say that word. Somebody want to bail me out? Pertinent says, thank you. I'm like, I am challenged sometimes. So this is in response to, we talked about it last month, putting a flagpole here at City Hall with the US flag as well as the Iowa state flag. My takeaway was to talk to the president of the Legion, which I did. At that same meeting, I happened to have a representative from Cedar Rapids Facilities Department who mentioned that the city of Cedar Rapids gets all of their flagpoles from Nesper Signs. And so that's why we pursued quotes I never would have thought about that. So we pursued quotes from what you'll see here. We got one from Nesper and CR Signs. Because then that also includes installation. And then the purchase of the flags can be made through the Legion themselves. Not only at basically a wholesale rate, but then they also get funds returned to them to help purchase their own flags or flags for cemeteries and such. So that's where we landed. You've got a couple of quotes in front of you. Vicki, I don't know if you talked to them.
Yes.
If there's anything you want to add. Looks like they're
No, I
pretty.
did reach out to one other place, but I never got anything back from them, so. So I did do some research before reaching out just to see what I should be asking quotes on, because I had no clue like how tall, any of that stuff. So I did reach out to another company. That initially was gonna go with, but then I was with talking to you and thinking about it, like probably be in our best interest to have somebody else install it instead of trying to figure out installation on our side. All of that as far as making sure it's gonna stay up. So they suggested the 30 foot to accommodate both flags. So that's why the height is the way it is. Internal versus external, roping system. I don't know.
It's hard to do the external the same way every time. So sometimes you'll have a lot left over, or you won't have a lot left over, and you gotta unwind it and redo it. That's the problem I have with mine. But I like ours at the station, our internal, because then it also keeps the weathering off of the rope. But
That was kind of my thought, weathering and potential mischief.
that's what I thought right away.
People get.
Takes it completely out of question. Yeah.
I had a question earlier. I was talking to Joe and Bethany. Are them a solid pole? Depending on how, they're not stackables.
No.
Would they be one, the 30-foot pole would be one solid pole?
Oh, yeah.
This is what.
One continuous pole,
And continuous,
not, it'll be
yeah,
a tube, right?
right.
Right.
It's put together, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's the way this department.
It doesn't say on here, and that's why I just wanted to.
Has
Yeah.
a single diameter, so I would, yeah,
What
I guess I would assume.
Say that's what it is.
Sections. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that. Yeah, right, okay.
The thing about internal rope is that you don't hear the rope smacking against the flagpole in the wind all the time.
All right, any other questions? I'm gonna read resolution 07-2026-02, purchase and installation of flagpole and related appurtenances at City Hall, ropes and stuff. Whereas the city of Alburnett is committed to complying with Iowa law requiring the display of the United States and Iowa state flags at public buildings. Whereas the city currently does not have a flagpole installed at City Hall, and whereas installation of a single flagpole at City Hall will allow the city to meet applicable statutory requirements for the display of the United States and Iowa state flags. Whereas proposals have been received for the purchase and installation of a new 30-foot flagpole with the city to furnish the United States and Iowa state flags separately through the Toddville American Legion. We received quotes from CR Signs and Nesper Signs. The external from CR Signs at 120 mile an hour is $8,337. The internal from CR Signs at 120 mile an hour rating is $11,811. The external from Nesper Signs at 117 mile an hour rating is $8,768. The Nesper Signs internal at 117 mile an hour rating is $9,415. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of the City of Alburnett, Iowa, hereby approves the purchase of the flagpole with internal or external, so please specify. Halyard and related appurtenances from fill in the blank in an amount not to exceed fill in the blank. And the mayor and city clerk are authorized to execute all documents to complete the purchase and installation of the
Sure.
answer.
CR Signs has item number 1 about.
It's pulled
It's
out because they also quoted,
Exactly what I was asking.
yeah, they quoted flags as well. The price you have in the resolution is just for the pole.
Perfect.
Yes. Good question. There were other things on that quote, but yes, it is just for the pole.
There's other polls for less wind rating, so I pulled the ones that were closest together.
And also probably necessary because the other options are 70 mile an hour, which we see regularly, so.
Yep.
There may be some additional costs as far as permits. I don't know for sure, but that was not given to me, so I don't know. As far as the amount goes, we wanted to go enough to cover,
I don't know if they're, I wouldn't think so.
would be charging the permit. Who would be charging the permit?
We work with Lynn County for all of our building and property maintenance stuff, but I can't,
But the city would be assessing permit, right? Not the.
no, Lynn County collects directly. Yeah. But I don't think there would be for this kind of work.
And then it's got,
Where is this going to be placed?
Over by the sign.
Okay.
So I think it does have solar lights on it, but the other thing was if we needed lights.
solar lights.
There's a solar light on the top for both.
Okay.
Right? Did I see solar light on the top?
One of them. One of them is
I
on.
think Nesper did.
I think they have lighting.
Nesper does
And
solar light.
Yeah.
Okay.
That seems like the.
I move that we use the Nesper internal.
Not to exceed,
117 to exceed $9,415.
I have a motion by Myers to approve resolution 07-2026-02 for the internal halyard from Nesper in the amount not to exceed $9,415. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Item H, resolution 07-2026-03, approving a professional services agreement for architectural design services for the Alburnett City Park Shelter. So this actually starts on page 31. This was tabled. Followed a scroll there. This was tabled from a couple of meetings ago. As we've discussed with the park project, we separated the shelter design in order to not have to buy a kit. I won't rehash the whole thing. You can go back and watch previous recordings. So what we now have is we did have a quote from HR Green for that work, who has been the primary engineer. Since then, we have hired a city engineer. So I asked for Michelle's opinion. We have been working together on a concept, and I wanted to get the task order in front of you all, along with the scope of services. So both scopes of services are the same. The quote from HR Green was for $39,000. To be fair, we did not confirm with them if they would still honor it. It is several months old. So under the assumption they will, the quote was $39,000 for the architectural design services for the shelter. The quote from Bolton Mank is $12,280. Any questions on the contracts themselves? What's included? I'll go ahead and read our resolution approving a professional service agreement for architectural design services for the Alburnett City Park Shelter, whereas the city of Alburnett is constructing the Alburnett City Park project. And whereas the architectural design of the park shelter was separated from the original construction bid package in order to obtain a custom design and encourage more competitive construction bids. Whereas the city received proposals from qualified firms currently engaged in the park project to provide architectural design services for the shelter. Again, HR Green at $39,000, Bolton Mink $12,280. Whereas the city council has reviewed the proposals submitted and finds it in the best interest of the city to approve a professional services agreement with the selected firm. Now therefore be resolved by the city council of the city of Alburnett, Iowa, that the proposed proposal submitted by fill in the blank for architectural services for the Alburnett City Park Shelter is hereby approved in an amount not to exceed fill in the blank. And the mayor and city clerk are authorized to execute the professional services agreement, contract amendment, or other documents necessary to complete the work.
I move that we adopt resolution 07-2026-03, moving forward with Bolton Mank as the consultant in an amount not to exceed $12,280.
I have a motion by Sukup. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bosenberg. Any further discussion?
It's like,
I didn't even hear him from
I'm soft spoken.
My good ear over here, so. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Congratulations.
Stuff for you to do. You were running well. Ringing.
All right, we are going to hit what was item number K, the pool fence regulation discussion. There's nothing in your packet, so no need to scroll. Where this is coming into play is we currently have an ordinance that specifies fencing requirements for swimming pools and fencing and or cover requirements for swimming pools and hot tubs, anything with a depth greater than 18 inches. We do have a few violations of that current ordinance. And as Vicky was preparing the letter to send, I always like to kind of scan around and what do other cities doing and you know, just to make sure. And I have noticed we are the only city with a swimming pool fencing ordinance. And I have discovered that the reason for that, and Centerpoint was a great example. They have a reference. All of that's covered in International Building Code. And so given the timing of when we contracted with Lynn County and when codification went through, they were very, very close to each other. So this is I would like to ask council how they would feel about removing that requirement and allowing the building code to take precedent, because otherwise, because it's a zoning code, we are still the enforcers of that and have to do that follow-up. Whereas if it's building code, it's part of their permitting, it's part of property maintenance, like that. Lynn County is able to lean in and help us with that. Their requirements are slightly different than ours. So ours says that you have to have a fence no matter what. The International Building Code does allow the side of the pool to act as a barrier under certain requirements. Has to be 4 feet. There are other requirements that go along with it. So, oh, we forgot to include the pool handout. That's what we had. We had the handout from Lynn County that we were gonna put in the packet. I forgot. Oh, I forgot. You had me review it and I forgot.
So as you said about the side of the pool, so if it's an above ground pool that's 4 or 5 feet tall, that's adequate then?
Yes, there are other conditions, like I don't think
Some
we
little
can,
kid isn't gonna just obviously fall.
they can't be allowed. There's nothing that can be near it to step on. But again, we wouldn't have to understand all of that. Our friends at Lynn County would then be responsible. So. And then we would not need to keep ours up to date. We have adopted Lynn County's building codes in their entirety. And so as changes or modifications happen through the International Building Code, our code is automatically up to date.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, so.
How do we
Thank you.
implement that?
So we will, it is an ordinance change. I would just recommend we go with what Centerpoint does. They reference back to Lynn County's requirements. It's a pretty simple change. I'm hoping to get it on the agenda for the Planning and Zoning Commission happening at the end of July. We will have to have a public hearing in our 3 readings once they approve. I'm not in a hurry that we need to do that in August, so next month we will set the public hearing date and take it from there, assuming P and Z approves. So I will take it to them, but I wanted to have the conversation with you all first and see how we felt, so. Any dissent for removing our swimming pool fence ordinance? He already has a fence.
I already have a fence up.
Okay. I will move forward with that. Thank you all for time there. And the reason for the reorder is resolution 07-2026-04 is adopting a City of Alburnett code compliance inspection and enforcement procedure. Where this has come about is just a desire on my end. To be more consistent. So a lot of times when we get into code enforcement, it always turns into, well, yeah, but my neighbor doesn't have, or you don't make so-and-so. So the intention of this is really procedural. That's why it says procedure, not policy, to give staff guidance on what we're looking for and when we're looking for it, how we're going to document it, how we follow up, those types of things. Swimming pools are referenced in there, so we will, should all of this pass, just know I will remove any of that, but it'll sit in there for now. So we don't necessarily need to amend it or anything like that because this is procedural, but I wanted to put this in front of you all, see if there's any questions, comments, or concerns on this particular direction. One thing, I'm just gonna call it out. Oh, so I did send this to staff. They have reviewed. I incorporated Mac and Vicky's feedback. I didn't receive any feedback from Lee. One of the sticky pieces that remains and is still a little bit squishy, is a word I like to use, is around snow and ice removal. So we do have an ordinance that requires that property owners clear their sidewalk within 24 hours. Over the last several years, there have been extenuating circumstances, whether that be we get a big snow and then it's negative 50 degrees. We're not about to go enforce that ordinance and have people out in dangerous conditions. Likewise, this spring, we had a freak snow and 3 days later it was going to be 50. Does the city really go shovel somebody's sidewalk knowing that it was going to melt the next day? And so we left flexibility in there that based on staffing availability with ongoing operations, public safety, weather conditions, those. So there's still some squishiness there, but the rest of it's pretty clear cut. I'm very specific on happening between the 15th and 17th of each month. The reason for that is our mowing ordinance actually says that we'll inspect on the 15th of the month. So it puts us within the range for that. And then it is at a consistent time because, for example, our junk vehicle ordinance is that it can be in existence for 20 days. So this gives us a very consistent, like it was there on the 15th of last month, it's there on the 15th of this month. So we don't want to stray too far in timeline because then we just continue to undercut the consistency that needs to happen there. So. And then there's documentation procedures, again, for anything property maintenance, junk vehicles, those types of things, we work with Lynn County on that. So that's where you'll see the city clerk determines the course of action, whether it goes to Lynn County or if it's a letter that the city would send out. Tree trimming, we send those. Grass, we send those. Most of it, Lynn County helps us with.
Is the 15th, 16th, and 17th day of the month timeline long enough? Do you need an if you've got a weekend in there, you've lost 2 days already, most likely.
I thought about extending it to the 18th. If it's really no different than water bills. Water meters are run on the 1st of every month. If that falls on a weekend, they do it on the 2nd. So I feel like if it's predictable and plannable, I mean, we very rarely wiggle on, emergencies have been the only time we've wiggled on water bills. So.
Right, it'll be the day to do it, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, with that, I will read resolution 07-2026-04, adopting the City of Alburnett Code Compliance Inspection and Enforcement Procedure. Whereas the City of Alburnett, Iowa seeks to ensure public health and safety through administration and enforcement of the city code of ordinances in a fair, consistent, and efficient manner. Whereas the City Council recognizes the importance of establishing consistent procedures for code enforcement priorities within the city. Whereas the city code compliance inspection and enforcement procedure is attached here to as Exhibit A, which outlines operational procedures and responsibilities of city staff. Whereas the city council finds it in the best interest of the city of Alburnett and its residents to adopt this policy and incorporate it into the city's operational practices. Now therefore be resolved by the city council of the city of Alburnett, Iowa. The City of Alburnett Code Compliance Inspection and Enforcement Procedure attached hereto as Exhibit A is hereby approved and adopted. City staff is authorized and directed to implement and enforce the provisions of the policy, and this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption. I have a motion to approve resolution 07-2026-04.
So moved.
Moved by West. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Myers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Item number J, private donation funding for city park. So we have received, Vicky has been just pounding the sidewalks to get us money for the city park, which we greatly appreciate because I think it's going to be an incredible asset to our residents and visitors. Oh, there's nothing in your packet for this. Sorry, forgot to mention. No scrolling necessary.
Good.
So with that, we have been asking, we've received the REAP grant and a few other grants. And we've also reached out to some private businesses, asking for their support, and they have been extremely generous. So as such, we wanted to have a quick conversation around if there was anything we wanted to do as far as recognizing those donations. I know we had talked about doing something similar for the fire station, which never got implemented. And so this could be a twofer, whether it's like paver bricks or some kind of donor wall or something like that. If there would be, I know some have expressed interest in potentially having portions of the park recognized with their donation given a certain level, if that's something that the council wanted to consider. Last piece, so that was two questions. Last piece is we purposefully haven't really gone out to the community to ask for donations because they are so generous. They get hit up a lot, and we were doing our best to fund this ourselves. So if we're making some kind of donation recognition available, I would ask if council would also be interested in then at least opening the avenue if anyone wanted to donate privately. Thoughts?
Okay. Don't ask me why this came in my head, but it just. So on the idea of a twofer, this is just popped into my head, like, what if we had a giant letter A? On one side would be the donors facing the fire station that helped the fire station. On the side that faces the park would be the donation. I think that would be a fun twofer rather than just a sign or a plaque on a building. Feasibility, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about, but but I mean, that has me curious. I think it would be kind of something to, you know, because we don't really have a corridor to, you know, to the east. Like we do in the north and the south. You know, how we have a welcome to Alburnett sign, north and south.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And this could be something that would be like, you know, when you see the A, you're here, you know. It's just, I'm sorry that sounds really strange.
I like fun ideas.
You end up with a creative on the team, you're gonna get some good stuff.
if this does gain any traction, it should be well known to everybody in the community in case they do want to make a donation.
That was kind of my thought, if we were gonna pursue this.
If suddenly, oh, I didn't get my name, been out of shape. Yeah.
So we will come back, Vicky and I already talked, she was gonna get some like guidelines, what other cities have done kind of as tiers, what that might, how that might work out. I was thinking more pavers, but I guess giant tin letters might.
You know,
Say if you're gonna pour cement too, you could even inlay bricks in the pavilion and in the cement. You know, different tiers and it'd be permanent, wouldn't have to. Just one idea.
how many times have you walked to the athletic field and read the sign down there?
Mhm.
I think it's a good gesture for
I agree.
these projects.
Yeah, and it was the intention for the fire station. It just never came to fruition. That whole derecho and COVID thing, that's a little bit of a distraction, so. All right, I'm hearing support, so we'll work up something and we can work up the GoFundMe to make that available, but we'll bring guidelines to council. Unless there's any other comment on that. All right, brings us to item number L, Planning and Zoning Commission appointment. I do a bit of apologize at the last moment. I realized this should be a resolution, so we do have a resolution ready. It is not in your packets. I will read it. It's high level. You'll get the idea. So I'll read it when we get there. So you'll find on page 47. So as we were looking to bring our Planning and Zoning Commission together for the meeting for the comprehensive plan, we were notified by one of the current members that he no longer lives in town and he has effectively resigned. So that left us with a vacancy. So we are looking to fill said vacancy. Council appoints those positions. So we do have 3 nominees that are interested. Those names are in your packet. So we have one Miss Amma Bartlett, a Terry Chostner, and Kelly Hayes are all interested. This term will run through the original term of the vacancy that was created. That's generally how vacancies work, rather than creating a new term because we have them on a very specific schedule. So it is right now through January of 2028. And that part's in the resolution, so. It is awesome to have this much interest, so I'm very excited. Normally we're like begging and pleading, so I love that people are excited and want to help out. I don't want to do any bios because I didn't ask for them, and so that doesn't seem super fair if I misrepresent something. So I guess y'all just kind of get to eeny, meeny, miny, mow it.
Well, are any of the candidates here that would like to say something on
That is true.
their behalf?
I wasn't prepared to say it. I wrote it in my application. But I have been very interested in everything that's been discussed tonight. I mean, it's something I live with on a daily anyways, working with the city of Marion, but I feel like I've been exposed to the whole for 10 years now with building and planning processes. So, yeah, I just thought it would be a good fit and something that I could do with the community. I used to do Girl Scouts. I did Boy Scouts. I've been involved in PTO, even now that my kids are graduated. So I just want to be involved in something. And this is a good move, I think.
Pretty lightweight. I think we put out there, they meet as needed, so.
Yeah. The comprehensive plan, like Marion just did theirs. Just finished theirs last year, so.
Who's this better? Did you read ours yet?
I haven't gone through it. But I understand the required, the necessity for it, and how it will benefit, so. Just to.
Beautiful. All right. Well, you all think? I will read resolution 07-2026-05. Again, this is not in your packets. Appointing a member to the City of Alburnett Planning and Zoning Commission to fill a vacancy. Whereas a vacancy exists on the City of Alburnett Planning and Zoning Commission due to the resignation of a commission member. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 23 of the City of Alburnett Code of Ordinances, vacancies on the Planning and Zoning Commission are filled by appointment of the City Council for the remainder of the unexpired term. Whereas the city publicly announced the vacancy and invited interested residents to express their interest in serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Whereas the city council has reviewed the interest received and finds it in the best interest of the city to appoint a qualified individual to fill the vacancy. Now therefore be resolved by the city council of the city of Alburnett, Iowa, that fill in the blank is hereby appointed to the city of Alburnett Planning and Zoning Commission to fill the unexpired term ending January 2028. I have a motion to approve resolution 07-2026-05, filling in the blank.
I move that, we add, just member.
Point. Counselor Myers has moved to approve resolution 07-2026-05, appointing Amma Bartlett to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I try to coach them to do the really long pause and make it awkward for just a minute, and they didn't do it. So, thank you.
It's almost 9 o'clock.
No long pauses. Thank you very much. We appreciate your willingness. Hopefully you're available on July 27th at 5 p.m. I think that's when we're planning. What's that? 29th, whatever the Wednesday is. We will email you. We'll email you the deets. All right. We are now into written reports. We made it. Fire department, chief, you're up.
Not much more to add to, the report. If anybody wants to come out and watch, while we conduct extrication training, it's gonna be at the fire station on the backside. We have 2 cars that will be cutting up and using our, different equipment that we have open to us
When is
to
that?
use. That will be the
Your next
20th.
week.
At, we have a quick meeting at 7 p.m., but then we jump right into training, so probably 7:30. I would say we'd start, cutting everything up. 139 was repaired. It was a bad sending unit still. We have, Steve team there is gonna be coming out to look at the ductwork inside the radio room. That front window room, it's got like a barrier that goes around it and it keeps falling off. So they're gonna come out and try to get a more permanent solution because it's dripping onto the ceiling tiles, making them brown and all that. So
They didn't get the ventilation right.
it's just
Insulation.
something, it's just hot in that room.
We run into that earlier with the insulation. They didn't insulate the ductwork. and it had to come back. They
That was
probably,
in the meeting room though, wasn't
yeah,
it?
but they probably.
Yeah, that was the meeting room, but I don't know if
They
they
didn't-
touched the radio
Yeah,
room.
I bet they didn't go all the way. I bet you're missing insulation.
Uh-oh.
I gotta go.
Love you guys. Be safe.
Good night. Oh, yeah.
We're just gonna make it through. We're just gonna make the truck.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah. My one does. All right.
Be safe.
Yep, thank you. I don't have anything else to add.
Okay.
My report.
Out of here,
Here.
get going.
Oh, that's okay. We're not approving them yet anyway, so. Sweet. I don't know if I did recognize. I gotta read it again. If the name's right, but that's okay. All right, so, they are incredible. I appreciate our fire department so much. So, we do have the I am responding contract in here just for your reference. We already approved that via resolution, so no action needed on that. We appreciate the county continuing to own that on our behalf, even though, we're helping pitch in there, so. Would have loved to, we'll ask for a readout on the car show at the next meeting, because I know that was a fun day. That's great weather for it. Again, I appreciate all of the time that the Lions Club and fire department put into that particular event, so. I can't answer any questions on the fire department, so we're just gonna move on to, that brings us Public Works. You have Mac's report. in your packet. Things are going well. So the flow meters are installed. Testing's been good. He mentions in there, so just the blending of wells 1 and 3. So that's something I think we've talked about, that rather than having wells sit for, you know, a month or 2 months at a time, running them both simultaneously. So it's just a system change. That's how CenterPoint does it. It was a recommendation from Kenny. We've already worked diligently with the DNR on what that would take. Did all the testing ahead of time, specifically on ammonia, to make sure the chemical balance is going to be good. So we're going to start testing into that and see how it goes. What that also helps with is if one of them happens to go down, again, the other one hasn't been sitting, you shouldn't have to make near as many adjustments to chlorine and those types of things. So, which, speaking of, we have been on well 3 for since it's been repaired. It's kind of been our workhorse, been going really well. He switched to well 1 at the beginning of June. It wasn't that long ago. Switched to well 1 recently to have that go, and within about 12 hours, the water main right outside the shop broke. So that was fun. So we got that repaired. I will say Pierce Tobin was thrilled to not have to do it in sub-zero weather. Not very often do you get summer water main breaks. But again, it's in his report. It was repaired under full pressure, so there wasn't any need for any further follow-up with residents on that. Yeah. So we'll try again later. He switched back to well 3, and then with his vacation, he's like, let's just not take the chance on it. So questions on Public Works, I may be able to answer some of those.
I guess I can bring it up now. Can we have him look into where Sherman put cement on? Roosevelt?
Yes, yes.
That's bad. I've had a
It is
couple
bad.
residents come up and hit that.
I go around it, and I was thinking it's that panel that fell that he was talking about, and then I just realized the other day that's where they put in the new concrete, and they didn't. Yes,
They did, and it's terrible.
it's bad. I go around it. So yes, great call.
Where's this?
On Roosevelt, where they had to do the water main tap, so they put in the concrete patch, but he didn't match with the panel next to it, and so there is a ledge.
It's an inch and a half to 2 inches.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there is a ledge.
Yeah, just past grades. Yeah, it's a good inch and a half.
It is.
Oh, that'll hurt.
That's gonna shear away here. I'll share it.
You want to see some sparks?
Yeah,
I look out for that on a walk for
Yeah. it's an inch.
It's yeah.
I do it every morning on accident, and I know it's there.
I was thinking, because we have that failed panel on Roosevelt, and then so I was like, oh, I never noticed that before, and then I was like,
What?
duh.
I understand that panel that they butted up to is kind of sunken.
That panel is sunken a little
Yeah.
bit, but the other stuff is still.
They should have matched.
Yeah,
it regardless.
they should have.
Regardless.
Yeah.
I do, I mean, another time. I do have a couple more comments on that project at some point, whether that's between all of us or just citywide going forward. I don't know if now's the time or just a couple thoughts on.
Council report will be the time.
Perfect.
I'll let you
I
get there.
will Do that. I have some comments.
Okay.
I'd asked.
Good call. I will touch base with Mac. He's back on Monday, so.
Okay.
Anything else on Public Works? Hey, City Clerk. Vicky, you're up. Happy fiscal year. It's exciting.
Within 75%. So. That's really good.
Keep getting stuff done.
It's so nice to stay.
You get so
Sure.
smart.
I don't.
We start clerk books migration and then on the 20th,
Nice.
the new system. So
Then you may never have to see me in City Hall if I can just check it all from home. Any questions for Vicky? We can do a budget review, but it's 9 days into the fiscal year, so I think we're good. No, actually, you have June's reports, so if we wanted to go over them, we could, but as she said, everything looks good. Alrighty, hearing nothing. Consent agenda. Motion to approve,
So moved.
moved by Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sukup. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Mayor's report, just a couple of things I actually didn't write down, so I'll wing it a little bit. Gave you the update on the comprehensive plan. Park project is going well, so you'll see playground equipment's being installed. The asphalt is in for the pickleball courts and the basketball court. Forms are going up for the sidewalk, so I'm pretty sure they're on schedule. I don't think we're ahead of schedule by any means. They're shooting for end of August, but things have been going pretty well. One quick update that you may see on the next council agenda is there was a miscalculation on the dirt. So originally the bid from the plans that went out were basically what I like to call dirt neutral. No dirt in, no dirt out. Any dirt generated was going to be used on the site. And it turns out there was a lot of dirt. I think it ended up being like 80 loads of dirt had to be hauled out. We did meet with HR Green to ensure that it was not actually something wrong on the site. I do believe I asserted that if that dirt had to come back in, I was not paying for that either. So, because they started hauling before we really stopped and we're like, but where did all of this dirt come from? So they did confirm miscalculation. You'll see it. We should be seeing a change order. We are not paying for it. HR Green is owning that portion of it, but the change order is because the city are under contract with Rachi, and they did have to have that change in their schedule and other things. So all of that should be worked out. I've got documentation if you all want it, and we'll see what comes through on the next packet for that. So any questions on park project? And then shelter, based on what we approve tonight, will be next spring. So, but we'll at least get some planning going underway here.
And there's that slide, they're gonna build that up around it.
I asked that question
It looks
when
like it's an in-ground slide. It's like,
I went out and walked it the other day when it got installed. There's still a gap. So that question was asked when we met with them about the dirt situation. So I will review the recording. We do have a recording of that meeting, and I may follow up with our project manager because that is not my expectation. I did affirm that it's supposed to be at grade or within inches of the top of the slide, and it is not currently. So check in on that. But good news is the dirt didn't go far. It stayed within city limits, and so we still have access to it if they need to bring any back in. They haven't put the topsoil down yet, but I just don't know if that's going to make up the difference. So yes, so the pile that's sitting out there is going to be redistributed.
what they took out the lagoon ain't really good.
No, that's all
Not
fill,
really,
but
it's still dirt.
all right. We have added, my apologies. You are officially on the August agenda. So if you would like to take during the mayor's report a time we will now recognize our city engineer. You'll have an agenda item. I don't expect a written report, but you'll have an agenda item on the next meeting. So you have a space if there's anything you need to talk to us about. So
I think the biggest update is just taking a look at the lift station. I think that's gonna be one of our probably goals coming up is figuring out why you have so much clear water coming into your lift station. I mean, there's a clear solution across the street, but then working back up and finding the other issues as well.
yeah, good news is that last rain, when did it come down? I don't know, Thursday and or Friday. It rained really hard both days. We did not end up having, it didn't even, I was tracking it for you. And it did not even get above 4 feet. Like it kept up just fine. So, I mean, it ran for days. So I'm not disputing, but,
Yeah.
that was the good news. We at least didn't have I didn't have to get the bolt cutters out. So,
Yeah, so and I was able to get some good footage though, so that for grant applications and that for your access road out to the lagoons though. Is how that goes underwater. So essentially, if your lagoons were gonna start to tap, there's no way to go out there and know it. Cause you have no access when the creek floods. Dangerously through it, right? Across back properties.
Half mile around.
I think you could probably take like a side by side across a farm field, but you need access.
we could put a kayak in upstream and then you just
jump off.
I'll let you
Or
borrow,
we
I'll
just
let
build
you
a
borrow one of
frame
mine.
and get a rope swing and
See, creatives.
But likely a box culvert to set in there would give us, get over that. I'd also be able to increase some creek capacity, but we'll start looking for grant funding for it. It's one of the things.
Perfect.
Yeah, cause every tree and every log gets stuck in there. Coming down the creek, it
Hmm.
just, I don't know how many I've pulled out, next
Really?
one I've pulled out.
I think the next community I pick, I'm gonna pick a city with a creek named Wet Creek,
Is that gonna be?
Said Dry Creek,
because I serve Palo as well, with floods because of Dry Creek. You guys have Dry Creek. They're not exactly dry.
They're not dry. Somebody thought that was a sick joke. Oh,
that's one I
We're going
thought was
about
driving through.
4
Missouri.
miles north and it gets pretty dry.
Troublesome creek.
Troublesome creek. There you go.
Later. That tells me that creek's earned its name.
all right. Anything else?
Nope.
She's good. I'm good. That's my update. Nuisance is still, we're just waiting for abatement. Nothing's changed on that particular property, so I have Mac looking into who can help us with those services, should that become necessary. I believe there's a couple of weeks left on the timeline, so I have it on my calendar. I could pull it up if you were so curious. I think that's my mayor's report. Council comments. We'll start with Councilor Myers.
Couple things. So. Something along those lines, like those types of large standing letters like they have in Cedar Rapids.
Greensburg Park.
I look at that every day.
Yeah. So, that's what I was thinking. You know, nothing super extravagant, not looking to build Gateway Arch, the largest. Yes.
I will say we drove past the world's largest fishing hook somewhere, and I'm like, that seems like a liability.
As the frying pan, we
Yeah.
could have the world, the
Biggest day,
Largest day.
biggest day in Lynn County.
I've never been to the front end, and I live 3 miles from it.
The other thing, this circles back to what we were talking about with data centers, and I agree, we do need to get something on there. Data centers, talk about the water use, that's one of the things. They are a heat island. They generate a lot of heat that can really affect the area around. Farms, wildlife, all of that stuff that we out here away from a city really appreciate. So the sooner that we can get some sort of ordinance drafted to safeguard us against anything like that. In full disclosure, I'm not on board with the data center in any form. But that's just one more thing to, get it out there. For some reason, they keep looking at Iowa and thinking, pipelines and data centers. Let's just fill the place up. Yeah. Safeguard, that would be.
Yep, it's a really good call. I have 2 exclamation points next to it. That's how important it is, so. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
You're good, all right.
Big A, EI,
Nailed it.
I'm tapped out.
All right. Counselor Sukup.
quickly. Positive, exciting to see the park. Really excited to start playing pickleball this fall. Really excited. So it's cool to see progress. A couple things. We were talking about the project next to me. And then on the other side of town, I think the city did a good job of posting on Facebook and on places that construction was starting. I was not informed, however, being the homeowner next door to it, that my property was going to be used as the parking lot for the contractor for his vehicles. I was not asked or wasn't brought to my attention whatsoever. I didn't realize that then my property was going to be used for the excavator to drive across. I have a small portion of concrete, the rest is gravel. It's not gonna hurt it, but a courtesy would have been nice. My little 6-foot strip of lawn that I share with the neighbor is dirt now. There was no sediment or erosion control measures taken whatsoever. So maybe something we consider going forward to, like, most cities require a plan for that, especially on those. With some of the rains we've had, and again, they're gravel driveways, there's always gonna be a little runoff. You can't help it. With the amount of soil that was turned over, there is so much sediment that is running into our storm sewers along the curb and gutter. You can see it. And obviously, like Dave said at the start of the meeting, we pay for street sweeping, and then a project like that shouldn't affect that. It's a waste of money at that point. So I think whether we take that measure, it's obviously got to be put on the contractor. And then traffic control was not. And I know you were reached out to probably by a few people. I don't know if we provided it as a city.
I
or
don't
if-
believe we provided anything.
Well, we
So,
can provide the signs, but then he's in charge of setting it up.
so we did look at, again, in the, gosh, very, very many number of years that I've been doing this, I don't think we've ever had street excavation that wasn't done by the city.
Right.
And so, we do have an ordinance for that. I will say it was not followed. So I did make sure staff was aware
Mhm.
and that we'll make sure that that's communicated in advance because, I will say the city got less than 24 hours notice as well.
And that's where I was like, the city did a good enough job because I knew that we didn't get notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I was just,
They are empowered to say, nope, here's our ordinance, please go.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure with excavation, there is erosion control, so I can look.
yeah,
into
there
that
was,
as well.
there was
So,
nothing put up. I just wish there would have been like 9-inch filter socks everywhere. Like it would have been fantastic between the property line. Cause like I said, I wasn't informed that my property was being used whatsoever. And it was, and I have those 2 large trees that are technically on my property and the roots and the drip line are completely compacted now. So now I'm nervous that those 100-year-old trees are going to have to be taken down. And then I'm curious at what expense. So I'm frustrated there a little bit. Again, I don't know who to be frustrated at, but again, I don't know if the contractor just thinks a little too fast for himself sometimes, but I know that there's a fourplex going in at the end of the street and there's gonna be more street closure potentially for that. It might already have some water service, but
not, we're asking for separate lines for each unit.
and that's what I
so-
thought. So just as a thought for us going forward, maybe again, require more notice
Yeah, staff,
before it happens. And
staff is aware of the ordinance now for that specifically.
I knew I brought it up to you at one point, but just so everybody kind of knew what was going on, I think the erosion control really frustrated me. Because like I said, all of that soil came into my nice gravel driveway and now it's contaminated. So
When you say several lines for each unit, do you mean, run one line and then manifold them all? I'll ask Matt. Cause I don't think you want 4 taps.
I don't think we do either. Yeah. That's what I
You're asking the wrong person.
I will.
I think as opposed to 1 meter for the whole building, which is how some other apartment buildings in town are currently set up. So check, you check with Mac.
Yeah, so a lot of cities will manifold them at the property line and then you have a separate shut off for each one. But
Yes.
it's only 1 tap.
I think that's what he's.
I would assume. Don't listen to me.
I will,
I know enough to make trouble.
well, some cities do require a separate tap. But that's a lot of taps in one short
Yeah.
amount of time. So.
So yeah, that's what I was saying, just to be aware going forward, just because there was a Little League tournament or something that night. And I saw like a yellow Camaro come all the way down to the pit, basically. And the first night they were gone from the site, probably 2 hours with nothing put up. Like legally, someone has to be on site, still
Yes.
working. So, yeah, we had a hard time getting out of our driveway to work on time and had no idea, and we had to ask them to move their vehicles. So it was just a little too quick for things, but just some measures maybe that
Common
we,
courtesy.
yeah, just common courtesy. So we worked it out. I had a conversation with him, but I said, hey, like something. So it's all good, but just my comments.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Council Bosenberg?
Have anything?
Councilor Crum?
Want to thank Cindy for giving us some updates. These are a lot of things that I don't think on a daily basis. It's nice to get some current input. Thank you.
I was gonna say maybe even you take a look at it and make sure we got everything in it we need.
Oh, our data center?
Yeah, the data center thing, I heard this morning, we had a guy from Pennsylvania on a Zoom call I was on. And how they're putting in, they have a problem with, they have honey production in his particular county. The
Oh,
bees
the
have all
bees.
disappeared. Because of the frequency of the data center, the bees have died, the hives have all died off. And the cattle, they're having a problem with, they're having stillborn calves. And so they said, we don't know what's happening to people that live in our county this is happening to the bees and the cattle, what's happening to the people? So, I mean, they're putting in an ordinance that has to do with frequencies and distance from homes and noise and lights, all kinds of things that we haven't even talked about. And I'm talking about water and electricity, you know? And I'm hearing these from places that have data centers functioning. Now, we're not talking about the little data centers. We've had little data centers for a couple of decades. There were server centers, you know, somebody had a server. Now we're talking about these mega, like the hyper center that QTS wants to put in. You know, they're huge. And you can get some frequencies from the small ones, but it's not going much beyond the perimeter of the property. But you get those big ones, it's going out a quarter mile. So things to look into, but you gotta think about what your community wants to do. And you can even make a limit on size or whatever based on some of those things. So,
I think something that's important to think about those data centers is technology keeps evolving. I know what I've read that, like, for instance, Japan and a couple other places have already made it so that that stuff travels faster in a smaller space. So within 5-6 years,
they'll
these
be obsolete.
monster
Exactly. Yeah.
centers are gonna be obsolete. Then what do you do with them?
What, the size of a computer 60 years ago.
When I was in college, we had
Now
parts,
it's in your pocket.
and then
Yeah.
this has more computing power than what I
And,
learned in
yeah,
college.
It's just it.
and so you're just going to have these giant empty monoliths on countrysides that they're just gonna walk away from.
Yeah, they can.
You mentioned the lawyers. Those lawyers keep that money from going out for any type of, you know, any type of cost that doesn't benefit the company, and tearing down, removing any type of data center that they built at one time. That's a loss that they're not gonna deal with. They'll walk away.
Well, I just decided, that's why I want you guys to think about it.
Appreciate it. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Next meeting is August 13th at 7 PM. I would seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Bozenberg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Myers. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Oh, I forgot to note what time TJ left, so we'll adjust the minutes for that for
We
when.
wrote down approximately when, like, where we're at on the agenda.
It was during his report, so we will make note of when council.
Say, it'll be on his page, or he
It's
can.
right
But
there.
we are adjourned as of 9:21 PM.